What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I want to wish everybody a happy October. We are officially in spooky season. This is my favorite month of the year, and now that I got my feet planted in my new place, I wanted to dive headfirst into Halloween content all month long. Of course, I'm still going to do my reviews as usual for new movies, but I wanted to just talk about some things that were Halloween oriented in the media or my experiences, because I just love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. So I think this is the perfect time to pop off a new segment that I've always wanted to do, where I talk about my favorite and what I deem to be the scariest episodes of Are You Afraid of the Dark? I love that show. That show is a very big reason as to why I'm into horror now, because I watched it as a kid. And I gotta also give it up to Goosebumps. I'm gonna do the same thing for them. So if anybody's wondering if I'm going to talk about Goosebumps, yes I am. But today I want to start with Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because over the past few days, I've been looking at what people deem to be the scariest episode, and this one in particular that I'm talking about today, called The Twisted Claw, is not mentioned as much. And it's perfect because it's also a Halloween-oriented episode. And boy, oh boy, when I first watched this episode, it scared the shit out of me. And one of the things I loved about Are You Afraid of the Dark is I feel like they were aiming to really scare kids who watched it, from the serious tone that it has, to the way that the stories are written, to the way it's shot, to the practical effects. This show is scary as hell. And honestly, I think that almost every episode is scary in its own right. So that's one of the things that I always loved about it. And I even watch it now because it's a horror type show that I can watch around my kids that won't freak them out too crazy. I watch it year round. So let's jump into the episode, and I'm going to give you my points as to why I think it's scary. So if you're here, I'm assuming you know what Are You Afraid of the Dark is. It's an anthology horror series where these kids gather around a campfire and just tell scary stories. That's right up my alley. And as soon as I saw the premise as a kid, I loved it. So this episode starts with these two friends who decide to go out on mischief night and do some vandalism to an old lady who lives down the street that all of the kids really don't like. Now, first of all, this episode introduced me to the concept of mischief night. Never knew what the hell that was until watching this episode. And if you don't know what that is, mischief night is the night before Halloween where kids go out and pretty much commit vandalism. They egg houses, they toilet paper people's trees, they do ding dong ditch, well, for black folks we call nigga knot, all in preparation for Halloween. Now, once I found out about this, I did go out one night with some friends. I didn't do anything because I just feel like karma is too much of a bitch, and I feel like I'm gonna pay for it somehow. The person I vandalized are gonna see me and know it was me, or it's just gonna turn around to bite me in the ass. So I never participated, and that was the only time I went out at night. But that in itself is a staple in my life, knowing what mischief night is all up because of this episode. So they go to this old lady's house and they throw something, I forgot what it was. I don't know if it's not eggs, it's something liquid. So she ends up getting hit by whatever they throw, and they pretty much get it all over her front porch. So the old lady comes out her house, sees them leaving, and she starts smiling and grinning. So the next night is Halloween, and of course, as stupidity with kids run, these two kids decide to go to her house while trick-or-treating and ask for candies. Now, one of the kids is like, this is a bad idea. She's gonna know that we did this. And the other one, who's an asshole, is just like, we should do it anyway, blah, blah, blah. So they go to this lady's house, and she is definitely happy about them being there. So instead of giving them candy, she gives them this gift. It's a monkey paw, and she's like, hey, this is this thing that grants wishes. I want you to have it because y'all are just joys of the world as children. Now, we all know if somebody's offering something like this, you should probably say no. But seeing as these are kids, dumbass kids, they decide to take it anyway. But yet again, one of the boys, he has logic. He's like, I don't think we should be messing around with it. She seems like she's trying to set us up. She doesn't like us, so this does not seem good. But of course, the other kid is like, whatever, we'll take it. So they leave this lady's house, and of course, the asshole kid, I forgot the name. It's like Dougie and something. Let me look it up. So I keep saying the kids. So the two kids' names are Kevin and Dougie. Dougie is the one with logic. Kevin is the asshole kid that you would expect in any 90s TV show. So they leave this lady's house, and Dougie is ready to go home because he feels like they got enough candy, but of course, Kevin says, nah, we got more blocks to hit. Let's keep going and getting candy. Dougie, holding the monkey paw, says, I wish we could just stop trick-or-treating and go home. So what this does is it grants the wish, but what the lady doesn't say, the wish is twisted as hell. So these group of bullies show up, and in the 90s, bullying was a very, very big issue. As somebody who was a victim of bullying, there were a lot of anti-bullying things, and it was going on a lot. So off rip, that just terrified me. The idea of being in like 3rd or 4th grade and you're confronted by some middle schoolers at night with no supervision around, that is terrifying on its own. So you put that in this setting of being dark, the streets are all foggy, and these middle schoolers or teenagers show up circling these boys. And what makes it even scarier is the teenager thing is already going, but they decide to put them in these Phantom of the Opera type masks that cover their faces and you can kind of see their mouths, but just the way that it's cut just looks very, very eerie. And if that wasn't enough, they put a voice modulator effect over these teens' voices to make them sound demonic as they're talking to these kids. And they're just threatening them like, give me your candy, what the hell are you doing? I remember one of the kids calls him a snot rag or some shit like that. You put all of those things in one and present it to me as a kid who got bullied. I was scared shitless. So of course these kids run off, they leave the candy just to get out of there. But that's wish number 1. What a scary sequence that was for me. Even now I watch it and I would be terrified if I was just walking the streets and a gang of people dressed like this just show up trying to talk shit. I'm like, okay, I'm getting out of here. I don't know what's going on. So that was the first wish, right? Now the second wish wasn't too scary. You know, the next day there's this race and of course Kevin the asshole grabs the monkey paw and he's like, oh, I want to win. I want to beat this kid. And the twisted thing that happens is a dog runs out into the middle of the race and the kid trips. So Kevin ends up winning. I feel like this was written weak purposely because it leads to the final act of the episode, which is the scariest moment for me. So the next day, Kevin goes over to Dougie's house holding his golden medal that he won for the race, and Kevin is just gloating like, look at me, I won the race. Dougie, again, the kid with logic, goes, we should probably return this thing because every time we make a wish, it comes, but it is very twisted and not exactly what we wanted or expected. Kevin, just like, you know, we could do what we want to do. We're still winning. It doesn't matter. We could take a little negativity, blah, 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 blah. So they get in this back and forth. And Dougie's like, look, I'm taking this, I'm giving it back, and I'm going to tell my parents because they don't want me doing this. The sensible thing to do. Kevin grabs the monkey paw and says, hey, Dougie, why don't you just lose your parents? And it's kind of like, what kind of friend is this guy? What kind of friend is going to tell his friend to lose his family? And then it just, who says that? I almost feel like that line was thrown in there last minute to add some more pressure to the situation. And while I do think that it's pressure, it's a bit, you know, out of nowhere for somebody to say that. So when he says that, Dougie gets a call from a police officer saying, hey, your parents got in a car accident. And what I forgot to mention is, before Kevin comes over, Dougie's parents leave to go for a dinner date, and they're just like, we'll be back later. So him getting this call about his parents getting in a car accident is very traumatizing. I remember watching that like, oh shit, I never thought about being a kid losing my parents until that moment, and that was ridiculously scary. Dougie's pissed, like, why did you say that? You know, they're going back and forth. Dougie has the monkey paw in his hand and they're all stressed out. Kevin is stressed out, like, damn, I didn't mean that. And Dougie goes, I wish my grandpa was here because he would know what to do. Monkey paw moves. Kevin looks at him and says, your grandpa's dead. Boy, oh boy, as a kid, when that happened, I was just like, at the moment I did it, the characters had the same conniption. So they run to the window and they're looking outside and they see this old ass car pull up with this fog and this eerie aura going on. And they're like, oh shit, that's your grandpa. And one of the great things about the direction in this episode is when the car pulls up, it shows the view of the grandpa getting out of the car and walking up to the door, and it's cutting back and forth, the grandpa getting closer and Kevin and Dougie trying to figure out what the hell to do. And it is just magnificent with the way that the tension builds, because the score is building as the grandpa gets closer and closer and closer, to the point where the grandpa's at the front door and you can see his silhouette moving towards the door, and then it cuts back to inside and you hear a doorbell ring, and oh my God, you want to talk about tension? Holy shit. So Dougie, being the sensible guy, he grabs this monkey paw and says, I wish none of this would have ever happened and things will return back to normal. And monkey paw dissipates. They open the door and in walks Dougie's parents, you know, wondering like what's going on, why it took so long to get to the door. So everything worked out, but God, what a way to build tension the entire episode to the ultimate climax. Just a chef's kiss of an episode, and I found that to be scary. So I think that that's hands down one of the scariest episodes. I don't know how other folks think about it. I don't know if people thought about that episode to be in the contender, because there are a lot of episodes that are scary, but this for me is definitely top 10. So that's the first special of October, talking about Are You Afraid of the Dark? My scariest and favorite episodes from the series. Let me know in the comments, did you like this? And would you like to see more? Because that's what it's all based around. I'm building my channel for you, the viewers out there, and I want to be able to provide some interesting things. And also let me know in the comments, what are your favorite episodes and ones that you find scary? I always love having these discussions, because these early experiences with TV shows and movies are what built us to be the fans that we are. So if you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace.
RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.